Would he be as shocked to know that there's a large group of women, also between 15 and 50, who will not be passing their genes on through procreation? Look at the propaganda targeting women. Having a family? Well, that's bad. Being a stay at home mother? That's misogynistic. Worse, the women who actively choose this lifestyle are shamed and degraded by other women as being traitors to womankind and to feminism. Additionally, the cost of raising a child keeps rising. So even women who are genuinely interested in having a family are finding themselves pressured to focus on their career instead. Hello, everyone. We are getting close to the end of Dr. K's discussion with Steve Bartlett on men, dating, and procreation. Let's see what his thoughts are on how men are adapting, or maybe in his view, not adapting to dating in the post-COVID world.
We have a group of young men who are somewhere between 15 to 50 who will just never procreate. And then they will literally die out, right? Their genes will not be passed on. And for the people who do procreate, they will have been adapted to the post-COVID world.
Yeah.
Right? So they know how to form, they succeed on Tinder. Whereas like if you go and you look at like, if you go to like some kind of senior event and you look at all the people who have grandkids, half the men there would not have succeeded on Tinder.
At this point, we all know that Dr. K is a grifter and a fraud. But this is just more evidence of that fact. Anyone who would use success on Tinder as a benchmark for whether a man can successfully procreate or not, well, they're just beyond stupid. Maybe, and this is a big maybe, back in 2012 when Tinder first launched, you could have considered it a traditional dating app. These days, however, it is 100% a hookup app. Now you're going to say, Tony, there are some people who find long-term relationships and marriage from Tinder. And yeah, that's true, but it's not common. Has Dr. K or Steve Bartlett been on Tinder in the last 5 years? Have they been on Tinder ever? It's a joke. It is a complete and total scam. A few years ago, I went on it to prove a point to someone about how bad dating apps really were. Spoiler alert, it still is bad. I uploaded some nice photos, I made a reasonable attempt at a bio, and I went to work like I was trying to get a date. After hundreds of swipes and probably a month of effort, I had a total of 2, count them, 2 matches. Both ended up being bots, which unmatched with me the moment I called them out. I guess that makes me unsuccessful at adapting in a post-COVID world to dating, right? Even worse, he doubles down by saying that men in a retirement home wouldn't succeed on Tinder. Newsflash, of course they wouldn't succeed on Tinder. This was a time when Tinder didn't exist for them. They came from an age where they met women in person. They came from an age where women wanted to meet men in person. These men didn't have to worry about being called creepy every time they looked at a woman. They didn't have to worry about a false accusation every time they approached a woman and tried to ask her on a date. Finally, they weren't concerned with her swiping on a dating app and looking for an upgrade while they were still in the middle of the first date. Most of these men, if they were younger and dating today, would be considered average at best and would be overlooked by the majority of women. Providing a comfortable standard of living for women, which is what I expect that they did for their current wives or their former wives, wouldn't even be considered the bare minimum for many of the ladies today.
Right? And this is something that really like shocks people when I kind of tell them this, but if you want to see like who's succeeding, it's not the dudes on Tinder who are getting laid 15 times. Like go to like I mean, this is sometimes a little creepy, but like if you go to a playground, you're going to see like a lot of like average looking men with like average looking dad bods, which with average median incomes who are like having kids. And that's what's really happening. But even those men are adapted in some way, right? Because they're not exceptionally attractive, they're not exceptionally rich, but they have something going on in their psychological makeup which allows them to form bonds and procreate.
Wait a second. Didn't Dr. K just say that being successful on Tinder was a measure of effective adaptation in the post COVID world? Now he's literally changing what he said from just a few moments ago. Thinking about it, however, technically, if a guy is using Tinder to hook up with dozens of women, even if there's protection being used, there is a chance, probably a better than likely chance, that he's going to get one or more of those women pregnant. I suppose that is one way of procreating, though probably not the way Dr. K was thinking of. However, that guy may never know that he had a kid because by the time she realizes, he's long gone. Or worse, she'll tag some poor simp as the father and make him raise the other man's child. So which one is it, Dr. K? Is it bad for men to be successful on Tinder or good? I don't know why I'm even trying because I don't even think he could properly answer that question. Let me also address his point that average men are finding relationships and having kids. He references average men as being those found at a playground with their kids. Is that really good evidence for such a claim? Men are regularly, constantly shamed for not being a white knight and stepping up to save a single mother. Oh my gosh. So, what if these men are knowingly raising children who aren't their own? What if she cheated and didn't tell the guy that it's not his kid? Because these are very realistic possibilities. However, let's just assume for a second that this scenario is accurate. The man is in a committed relationship with a woman and the child is their biological offspring. That gives no indication whatsoever as to whether he is happy in this current situation. Did his wife choose him willingly, or did she choose him because she had no other options? Does she actually love him, or is she using him as just a piggy bank? Is he getting sex and intimacy from the relationship? It's very common for women to spend their 20s focused on their careers and finding themselves. Once they get to their 30s, then they start freaking out. They start freaking out because that biological clock is just ticking away very, very loudly. The Chads and the Tyrones, they aren't interested in these women anymore. They're going for younger. So now these women, they have to settle, at least if they want a relationship or they want kids. Maybe these men are getting biological offspring. Of course, that is a big if. But is it worth the trade-offs to get that offspring? For many men, the answer is a resounding no.
You just said that a huge amount of men between the age of 15 and 50 will not pass on their genes. They will effectively die out of the gene mating pool. So people will hear that and many people will go, well, that's evolution.
Yeah.
But I want to understand if there's a counterpoint to that. Should society intervene? Why is, in the short term, we're going to have a lot of men who are disillusioned, that become incels, find themselves in pockets of the internet, are resentful, all those kinds of things. But should society intervene to course correct that? Should we put systems in place to make sure that those men meet partners?
Steve acts shocked at the prospect of a large group of men not passing their genes on through procreation. Would he be as shocked to know that there's a large group of women, also between 15 and 50, who will not be passing their genes on through procreation? Look at the propaganda targeting women. Having a family? Well, that's bad. Being a stay-at-home mother? That's misogynistic. Worse, the women who actively choose this lifestyle are shamed and degraded by other women as being traitors to womankind and to feminism. Additionally, the cost of raising a child keeps rising. So even women who are genuinely interested in having a family are finding themselves pressured to focus on their career instead. How many stories do we see on TV, on the news, in social media about women who are in their 30s and now are desperate to have kids? How many 40-year-old women do we hear crying because they focused on themselves and their careers and they no longer have the opportunity to have children. This is not shocking in any way, shape, or form.
I'm gonna answer that question with a question.
Okay.
If, let's say, a huge swath of people are dying out from cancer,
Yeah.
should we intervene with that?
Yes.
If a huge swath of people are dying out from like a virus, should we intervene with that?
100%. Yes.
If a huge swath of people are dying out from genocide, should we intervene with that?
Yes.
So I think there are two important things. One
It's
is
slightly
that
different though, isn't it?
it
Because
is.
it's
So,
whether you're.
so one is about death,
Yeah.
right? So one is like if a human being is dying,
Mhm.
we should step in. But natural selection isn't necessarily about death. This is what's really tricky about it. This is why I think it gets hard. Natural selection is about passing on your genes,
Yeah.
right? It's about creating viable offspring. And this is where if someone, and I think we also say yes, like if there's, a couple that wants to have a child and that child has cystic fibrosis, should we help that couple? Should we help a couple procreate? We also say yes.
Yeah.
So that's why we have IVF and things like that. So I think that the tricky thing about the reason that this is different is because that's a couple. If a woman is unable to have kids, even if we say if a man is unable to have kids, should we medically intervene so that they're capable of having kids? Yes. Right? So if we're talking about a couple, if we're talking about a human being and there's a medical problem, or if we're talking about protecting people from death, the answer is yes. This is a new question, which is, do people have the right, and I don't know if right is, maybe that's the right word, to reproduce? And this is what's so challenging about it is like the answer is basically no, because for men, that requires the consent of someone else. And my right to reproduce never trumps someone's right to not want to reproduce.
What part of modern day dating and relationship management is natural? I'd argue that it is almost all manufactured today. Every single time that Dr. K mentions natural selection, I want to virtually smack him upside the head. There is nothing natural at all about any of this. Show me any species at any time in Earth's history where natural evolution, biological or geological processes resulted in such an advantage for women versus men. You can't, because there are no examples. I haven't looked into it fully, but there is a story that the CIA was actively involved with the rise of feminism in the 1960s. Gloria Steinem, a major figure in the feminist movement, was bankrolled by the CIA for at least 4 years. She openly admitted it in an interview. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the CIA, as well as other government entities, both federal and state, were pushing feminism as a covert method to increase reliance on the government. Absolutely would not surprise me. Considering how many single mothers are screaming about losing their SNAP benefits today, at least over the last couple days in the news, here in the United States, it is completely believable. As for Dr. K's argument on death versus procreation, he completely misses the bigger picture. Men's inability to procreate is a symptom of a much bigger issue. Men overall are unaliving themselves at a significantly higher rate than women. It varies in different parts of the world, but it's anywhere from 2 times to 4 times as much here in the United States. A very large portion of that is men's treatment by women and by society as a whole. There are ever increasing expectations from women for romantic relationships. That's a big part of it. So yes, it really is a life or death issue. Historically, men have been the providers and the protectors of families and society. In return, those demonstrating those behaviors, men, were respected by women and also by other men. Now, that's basically gone. Women behave like men, badly in most cases, while expecting men to simultaneously be more masculine and also be more feminine. How does that work? But again, Dr. K doesn't care because he's perfectly content to let so many men die out, both genetically and literally, because it is natural. What a disgusting individual he is. What can men take away from this? There are two things. Number one, there is very little that you can rely on for help in this world. There are some things that you can absolutely not rely on. Those things include the company you work for, the government, no matter where you live in the world, and society at large. I don't like saying it, but the truth is the truth. Unfortunately, there are still too many men who think that their employer will take care of them when things start falling apart. Nope, that is not true at all. When crap hits the fan, the company that has no issue with laying off anybody and everyone, so long as they can make their profits. As for the government, sure, they'll give you some paltry unemployment benefits for a few months. Here's a couple dollars. But if you're lucky, it may cover your food expenses for a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Meanwhile, you've got single mothers and illegal immigrants who are filling their grocery carts with luxury food. You can see it all over the social media. Second point, take care of yourself, physically and mentally. You have to do this since nobody else will do it for you. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Go to the gym and lift heavy weights. If you aren't strong enough to lift heavy weights, go to the gym and lift whatever you can. Start somewhere. Start with something. You got to walk into the gym and you got to do it. Eat healthy. Cut as much processed food out of your diet as you can. Things such as soda, chips, and processed meats. Get rid of them. You don't have to be perfect. I'm not perfect by any means, but small changes today will make a world of difference in the future. They make you feel better, and that's very important. From the mental side, put the phone away. Give yourself time to meditate. Give yourself time to journal where it's just you with your thoughts. Give yourself 30 minutes a day. Maybe that's all you can afford to put all the distractions away. If this sounds like it's too much to do all of these things, start with one thing. Start with just one thing and work on it. Do it for 3 weeks, for 21 days until it becomes a habit. Then you can start to add other things in, one at a time. The world, unfortunately, is very harsh for men. I wish it wasn't, but wishes aren't reality. Understand what you're facing and take the steps needed to improve yourself, for yourself and for nobody else. Take care, and I'll see you all in a future video.